Helen here. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Today's card's a little bit different than I've been doing lately. I'm going to make a shaker card, but it's going to be a first birthday card. My husband came home recently and wanted one for a lady at work, and I didn't have anything or even have anything to make one with, so I bought a stamp and this is what I'm going to make with it. Hope you like it. I got my card base ready, which is a 5x7 inch side folding card base, and I made a top panel that's 11.5 by 16.7 centimeters, and I've cut a circle with a circle die out of that to make the shaker portion of the card. And now here with a separate piece of card I'm going to make a frame for the shaker. So I've blending picked raspberry with spun sugar distress inks, and I'm going to cut it out with a scallop nestability die and then the same circle die that I cut the shaker part out with. This is the stamp set I bought. It's Petite Plushies by Clearly Besotted. They're quite little critters, but they're very, very cute. They only measure about 3 centimeters in height, so they are quite small. Unfortunately, I don't own very many Copics, but I do have these alcohol markers called Reno Art markers, and I'm going to use those to colour these critters in. Most of the colours I'm using 2 shades. I start with the paler shade and put a complete colour down, and then go around the edges of where there would be shadows and use the darker colour, and then go back to the lighter colour to blend it out. I'm just going to show you slowly doing the giraffe, and then I'll go ahead and do all the other animals sped up. It's looking like a very long video. Sorry, I hadn't realised I hadn't zoomed in so you could see it a little bit closely, so I will for the rest of the animals. Now, I'm not sure whether you've noticed something a little bit strange about the bunny stamp. I hadn't realised when I bought it, and I didn't realise until I went to colour it, that it's got a tail, which I didn't think bunnies had tails like that. I thought they had little sort of cotton pom-pom-y sort of tails, so I'm not actually going to use that rabbit, and in future I'll probably mask it off and then draw in a little tail, the correct type of tail. I will have a full list of all the colours I've used and the 2 Copics I used on my blog if anybody's interested. I just continued colouring them all just doing the same method as I did for the giraffe. I'll put a little bit of music on and I'll meet you back once I've done all the colouring. The balloon I started colouring with the green there. It turned out that I had some embossing powder on, so it was resisting the colour, so I decided not to use that one. Once I finished the colouring, I ended up going back and putting some glossy accent on all the critters' noses and also the balloons. Once it was dry, I cut them out with scissors, just leaving a little white border. I'm going to now make a background for behind the shaker. I really enjoy making backgrounds, but you really wouldn't necessarily have to do this. You could just use a pretty pattern paper. So I'm going to start by getting a couple of post-its and sticking them sticky to sticky facing the opposite way, and I'm going to cut a curvy shape out of it. This just ensures that the two parts will join together perfectly. I'm then going to lay that on the card with just a little bit of a gap between them, and I'm going to ink stripes, so I'll just move them each time, just making sure that I overlap the previous stripe just a little bit so that I don't get any white area, and then just work my way up the card and then go back to where I started and work down. The colours I've used are Distress Inks, Picked Raspberry, Spun Sugar and Abandoned Coral, and then I also use the Ultra Crisp Ink, Dye Inks, Cotton Candy and Perfect Peach. I just wanted stripes that are different tones of pink and sort of an apricot-y pink, peachy colour. Once I finished that, I positioned all my pieces together on the card just so I could work out where I was going to put the sentiment. I'm using the first birthday sentiment out of the clearly besotted stamp set, and I've cut some letters out with a Quick Cuts alphabet die set. I've cut out the words happy, and I've cut out 4 of them and I've stuck them all together. Once I've got that in position, I can stamp my first birthday sentiment with VersaFine Onyx Black ink and then emboss it with clear embossing powder. Once the sentiment's stamped on, I can flip it over and put glue around the aperture and around the edge of the card and glue the acetate on. I'm going to stick down some fun foam onto the acetate now. I've cut the circle out just the next size up from the circle die that I cut the shaker part for, just so that you can't see the foam through the window of the shaker when the card's made up. I'm now going to fill that area up with my shaker materials. So I've used a range of pink and apricot seed beads, some clear sequins, some white sequins, some stars, pink and white, just various ones that I had. I then put double-sided tape all the way around the aperture and around the outside edge of the card, and then I stuck my background down, matching up the points that I drew earlier on, just because you're doing it upside down and it's really hard to make sure you get it in the right position. That's the basic shaker done now. You could use that really for anything, change the sentiment, put stars and balloons on it. You could put flowers and use it for another birthday occasion if you wanted to. The trick to putting the happy on is to lay the letters out onto a grid mat or paper and then grab a piece of repositionable tape that's a bit longer than sentiment, something that you can grab hold of, and then stick it down onto the surface, flip it over, pop some glue on it, and then you've got handles to place it onto your card where you want it, stick it down, and then peel the tape off. So then I just had to stick the little animals and the balloons on with some foam tape and drew the strings of the balloons in, and that was the card finished. Thank you for being so patient. It's been a very long video. I had to speed quite a bit of it up so that it all fitted in. So thank you for being so patient. Please subscribe if you'd like to see my next video, which is going to be using the same stamp set, and I'm going to do a triple window layout. So thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Bye.